Yes, let's move on to class. So last class we discussed so what is the Kubernetes objects and what are the types of objects. Can you see my screen? And what
No,
is
no, your screen not
pod?
sharing.
What is pod
No, no.
and how to
Hello, your
create
screen not sharing.
sharing.
I'm not getting your screen.
Now,
No, also not visible. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-hmm.
hmm?
No, it is not visible.
Stop. Again share and screen select. Now,
Mm-hmm. It is not showing.
not showing.
Mm. Yes.
Me it is showing already I share.
But your side? Man,
Check it. I am in document PDF file. Check it.
no, no. But it is only showing picture on photo. UQI interface
Stop.
double equal. That's one.
Stopped. Okay. Share. Entire screen. Select. That's it.
Yeah, but name is showing, but your screen is displaying. Sharing. A screen sharing their screen. Why? But they disconnect and reconnected.
Share it. Just open your page. Just I think already shared. Just
Already
reopen.
shared.
Just
Now
you open.
PDF file.
Yeah, visible. Go
Okay.
to
Okay.
do it.
Okay, so last class we discussed what is Kubernetes objects. So these are the some of the basic Kubernetes objects: pod, replication controller, replica set, daemon set, deployment object, service object, volume, config map, secrets. Only few object names written here. There is few more objects also available. And also last class we discussed, right? So main, what is namespace? So namespace is nothing but this is a virtual cluster inside your Kubernetes cluster. And already these are the some of default namespaces. And also last class we created how to create our own namespace. If you want to create our namespace, this is a command. Kubectl create namespace and namespace name. We can give any name. And if you want to list all namespaces, kubectl get namespaces. And also last class we discussed very important what is pod and so how to create pod and just we see right how to describe that pod and all. Last day class we discussed. Today we'll see a continuation. So meantime let me open. So Docker desktop. Let me start with cabinet and all. So these are the so some of the basic points. If you understand, so we can easily understand. Yesterday only we created a namespace and all, and so yesterday we created our sample pod. I didn't write anything. Suppose if you don't know anything, so first time just to go on indentation is mandatory. Indentation is mandatory. Just I copied from Google and just I pasted, and this is just I selected so nginx and so here this is a container. So this is the API version kind equal to pod. So whether you want what type of object, here there is many object names available, right? So I given kind equal to pod. Suppose if you need replica set, we can give kind equal to replica set. Suppose if you want to deployment, kind equal to deployment. If you want to service, kind equal to service. That's it. Remaining metadata. Metadata means so if you want to give any name for that particular pod, metadata name. I given some name nginx. We can give any name here. We can give any name here. This is your pod name. Now if you go here spec section, this is the containers. So this is your container name hyphen name colon. This is the container name and this is your image name. Here we can change any image that is your wish. So right now for testing purpose, we given only nginx and ports. What is the container port number 80? You know, right? Tomcat port number 8080, Jenkins port number 8080, nginx port number 80. Default port number is 80. Once your YML file is ready, and so how to run that file? This is the command kubectl apply -f and file name, your configuration file name. That's it. Okay, let me come to here. My Kubernetes also running, my Docker also running. Now go to here where yesterday I executed. I'll just go to here. Go to C colon users HP, and here I given K8s/26. Okay, let me open here. Okay. Now, if you want to check up nodes and all, this is a command. Kubectl. This is a command, right? This is a command. Kubectl get nodes. Kubectl get nodes. Now see here, I have only one. This is a Docker desktop, and so kubectl. If you want to see all parts, get all. Or if you want to get parts also. I want to specifically, I need only parts. So no resource found, default namespace. We don't have anything. Now dir, this is a file. This is a file, right? So might be I deleted. So how to run this file? Kubectl apply -f file name. What is the file name? Nginx. Before that, let me notepad. Notepad. If you understand one, nothing. Remaining all are same only. So now see here. So this is the version V1. Just I created one pod only. Nothing. Just I created one pod only. Kind pod metadata. I given nginx. This is your pod name. Container. This is the container name nginx. And this is the image. And this is the port number. Ports hyphen container port. Port hyphen container. Once your configuration file is ready, manifest file ready, how to run this file? This is the command kubectl apply -f and file name, configuration file name, nginx file name. So now see here pod name. How to check all pods? So now see here how to check all pods. Kubectl get pods. Now see here, this is a pod. This is the pod name, nginx. I given, right? Pod name and ready. Only this is a single container pod, and status equal to running, restart nothing, and 13 seconds ago it was created. That's it. Now, already last class we seen, right? Suppose if you want to know something about more on this, there is a kubectl describe d describe and pod name. This is the syntax nginx. Now see here, we can find, see what is the name. Nginx I given, it is running default namespace. Right now I didn't deploy any specific namespace. It is, if you are not mentioning any namespace while running your configuration file, by default it is running a default namespace only. And this is the service account default, and this is the date and time. This is the IP. See here, already you know, right? Every pod has one unique IP address. Every pod has one unique IP address. This is the pod IP, and this is the container ID, image ID, and this is the port number. This is the port number. Now if you go down, this and the mounts and all, we'll see. Now if you go down, now see here, this is the events. If you come to here, events. Now see here, now selected node selector none. So by default here it is running, here we are using the that's mini, right? Now see here successfully, and and created image, and also created container as well. Okay, so that's it. Okay, now let's move on to, so any doubt here? So these are the some of the basic point, how to write, how to create. Just I created one sample pod. Just I describe, and so what is the, so if you understand this and all, so remaining all, so whichever I am creating, same tags only I am using. So API version, kind, metadata, labels, spec, specification, containers, and this is the container information. Now this and all already we discussed last class. Now go to here. This is very very important. Next is service object. What is service object? So service means now see here. This is I deployed. Now how to now go to let me check it here. Kubectl kubectl get all. Now if you see here, this is my pod. This is my pod, and this is my default service account for so Kubernetes master. Now by default, if you are not, there is a types is that service types are very very important. Interview also many people ask this question. So what is service account? There is a types of services. There is a types of service also available. Now we'll see one by one. Interview also many people asked. So types of service in Kubernetes. Types of services. Now see here. Now if you go here, so in Kubernetes service is a method for exposing a network application that is running as one or more pods in our cluster. So now I created one pod. So my pod is running my cluster. I want to expose. Expose means these are the types. There is a types available. Where is that? Without selector name. Types. So here service types in Kubernetes. Okay. So these are the types. See here, there is a cluster IP. So there is a cluster IP. Mostly we are using this only cluster IP. There is a cluster IP. This is the default. Internal clients send a request to the stable internal IP address. There is a node port and there is a load balancer. There is a node port and a load balancer. So mostly interview also they are asking what are the types of types. See here types of Kubernetes services. Types of Kubernetes services. So these are the cluster IP. This is the default one. If you are not mentioning anything, these are the types. Enter also many people they are asking. Just remember cluster IP, node port, load balancer, and this is the external and headless. If you are not mentioning anything, this is the headless. Now see here, this is the cluster IP. Cluster means this is the default service type. This is the only within the cluster we can access your application. Internal clients send a request to stable internal IP addresses. There is one more type. Type equal to node port. The client send request to IP address of the node on one or more node port values that are specified by the service. Suppose if you want to access my application. So by default, if you see here, this is my application. Now if you go here and so if you go here, just assume this is my application. Okay. So this is my application. Now just assume this is my pod. This is my pod. This is my pod. This is my just assume pod. So in this pod, so actual container is running, right? I hope everyone know, right? Container. Here container. Inside container, your application is running. So application is running. Application is running. Now, so this is the pod. So maybe single container pod or multi-container pod, whatever it may be. Now my here it is running single pod container. How I know single pod container, single container pod? Here it is running only one by one means so single container pod. Now if you go here, now here it is running. Now if you want to access this application, so there is a service object we need. Service is nothing but this is the discoverable pod. This is the discover. What is service? Many people they are asking. What is service? Service is nothing but this is the discoverable pod. See, service is responsible for making our pod discoverable inside the network or exposing them to internet. I want to access my application browser. Now, if you go here, nowadays all are web applications, right? Each and everything we are accessing via browser only, right? Or we are accessing only specific machine. No, right? So all applications we are accessing via browser only. Correct? Now, nowadays anything, all are we are accessing via browser only. Now, this is a pod. In the pod, this is a container. So my application is running. Now, I want to access this application via browser. So how to access? So how to access? So if you want to access your application via browser, so there is a Kubernetes that is providing one object, service object. With the service object, we can easily discover. Now see here. So just remember one line. So what is pod service? Service is the discoverable inside your network or exposing them to via internet. See, a service identifies pods by its label selector. So by using label selector. So suppose you have doubt, I have many pods and I want to access only particular pod. There is ambiguity, right? Just assume I have many pods. I created many pods. Right now I have only one pod and directly we can access your pod. There is no doubt. But if we come to real time, I have many pods. Many pods are running. Okay, so in each pod has maybe single container or multiple containers, and every container has application. Now, how to access that particular pod? So, with the help of label concept. So, there is the pods by its label selector. So, we need to add one more thing also, label selector. Now, these are the types. First one is a cluster IP. So, this is the default one. If you are not mentioning anything, which is the default service type, cluster IP. See here, there is 5 types of services. Okay, so this is the cluster IP. This is the default one. Only within the cluster we can access your application. Suppose if you want to access your application outside, that I mean to say, if you want to access your application via browser, that case we need to go node port. So that case we need to go node port. Node port is, this is the one type of service type, and the client send request to the IP address of the node on one or more node port values that is specified by the service. What is the load balancer? So load balancer, this is also, see, client send request to IP address and network load balancer. In AWS, you know, right? You know what is the types of load balancers? Load balancer, application load balancer, network load balancer, classic load balancer. There is a types already, you know. So same concept here. What is load balancer? Send driver request to multiple instances. Distribute your incoming request to multiple instances. See here, clients send request to the IP address of the network load balancer. So you know what is load balancer, how it will work. And based on this, there is a load balancer. There is external name. Internal clients use a DNS with the help of alias name, and we can configure some of, you know, right, route DNS on the route 53 with the help of it is connecting external name, DNS name it will connect. And this is the headless. You can use the headless service when you want to pod grouping, but don't see here, but don't need to static IP address. So that case we are using so headless services. Okay. So mostly we are using node port and load balancer, node port and load balancer, and remaining so based on your requirement, we can use anyone. We can use anyone. Okay, we'll see one by one now how it will work. So now this is the default one is cluster IP. Default one is cluster IP. Cluster IP means blindly remember within the cluster only we can access. It is this is the default, and so we can access your application within the cluster only. Within the cluster only. We cannot access your application via browser. We cannot access your application via browser. This is a node port. Node port means so we can access your application so through browser, via browser we can access. Nowadays most of the applications we are using you know, right, browser only, right? So that and all. Now see here, when you create service, we will get one virtual IP. Already you know that is the cluster IP. It will register to the DNS, kube DNS. Using other parts, we can find talk parts in the same. The service is just a logical concept. The real work is being done by the kube proxy only. So here service object, we are going to create one service object. This is like just a logical concept only. This is the only logical. The service is a just a logical concept. The real work is being done by the kube proxy only and running on the each node. It redirect request from cluster IP, that is the virtual IP to pod IP, virtual IP to pod IP. Now, if you see here, so this is the cluster IP. Now see here how many pods are running. This is the one pod, this is the one pod, and every pod it is internal, it is running one access, one application. We can, this is the one cluster. This is our cluster, and this is the one IP. And inside this cluster only, we can access these all applications. We cannot access these all applications outside. Now see here, kind equal to service. That's it. So kind equal to service. Earlier we given right kind equal to pod. That is a pod resource. Now this is a kind equal service and metadata name equal to give some name. So this is my service object name. This is my service object name. Okay. Now spec is nothing but a specification, and here we are using so selector. We are using selector. See pod label selector. So just assume here I have three pods. Which part you want to discover, which application you want to access, we need to set, right? See here, selector app equal to nginx and type equal to cluster IP. Here we are giving type equal to cluster IP. What is this meaning? We can access your application only within the cluster. We cannot access your application outside. That is nothing but type. Here extra tag is, this is a type equal to what type of service you want to use, whether you want to cluster IP, load balance, node port, load balancer, and so that is external name and a headless service, headless. Okay. Now here we are using cluster IP and ports. See here, you can give any name and port equal to 80 and target port also 80, and these are the optional, not mandatory, not mandatory. Now if you don't know, for example, you don't know how to write a service object, this is very simple. I hope everyone know, write a visual VS code. We can use that one also. Or first time just service, just example. We can check example. Now see here, kind equal to service object name. We can give any name, and this is the selector, and so app metrics, and they are giving department sales. Type equal to cluster IP. We need to focus here main. Type equal to whatever you want, so we can give it. So type equal to cluster IP and protocol and all we can set it. So these are some basic example. Now even if you type Kubernetes, service example. Now see here, this is the service, this is the official document, kubernetes.io.dos. Whatever you want, we can find here. Now if you go down, see here, this is the API version v1, kind equal to service, earlier pod. Next metadata, they given my service, and so this is the, they are giving some name, selector, they are giving name, and this is the protocol, so this is the port number. If you want to, we can mention target port also, and based on this we can see example how they are written. Now this is the, now this is the already this is the pod, this is the pod information. Here which pod they are using, nginx pod they are using, nginx. See here, this is the image name, nginx they are using, and so nginx, right, this is the server. Already how to create in I think Sar also explained it in AWS how to create nginx server, and how to deploy and sample any file, and how to access it. So this is the nginx server. Okay. Now this is the default port number. Now this is the service object. Now here they are giving so type equal to, so where is their mention? This is the service spec, and this is the ports, and if you go down they are mentioning type, where they mention here service type ports, service type cluster IP, node port, load balancer, external name. See here. So here this is a GCP. There we are seeing cloud.google.com, right? So GCP they are giving so types of 5 types. See here 1, 2, 3, 4. Now if you go here official document Kubernetes, here they mention only 4. Only 4. See here node port. This is the cluster IP. This is the node port and load balancer. This is the external name. Headless service, here they are mentioning extra headless service, headless address service. This is the GP. Here they mention only 4 cluster IP. So see expose the service on the cluster internal IP. Choosing this value makes node port. Expose the service on each node's IP at the static port, and we can access type equal to cluster IP or type equal to node port, whatever you want, you can use it. Load balancer. Now, example type, now see here, type equal to node port. So type equal to node port. So type equal to node port. Now, let me create one sample application. And so now I'm going to create, so any one type equal to whether cluster IP or node port or so load balancer. Anyway, we'll see only cluster IP and node port. Now go to here. This is nginx, right? So this is the nginx. Now let me delete all existing under. Now or else I am going to create one service object. Notepad, 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 nginx hyphen svc dot yml. I'm writing a separate file. So this is my pod. Now my pod is running. So how to access this pod? If you want to access a pod, we need one service object, right? We need one service object. Now I'm creating one file, configuration file. So that is the related service. Now remaining story same only. Just whatever we want also add it. This is very simple only. Name open. Notepad nginx hyphen svc. Right, stay prompt. Okay. Now what is the first one? What is the first one? Suppose first time if you don't know anything, or else if you are using first time, but try to type almost manually, you can get familiar on that. So now this is also, right, Visual Studio, Visual Code, VS Code. So here also we can check it whatever you want. And so here I am using service. See here, Kubernetes service object. So this is the service. Everything here auto populated. Here no need to remember anything. So if you type any object, for example, I need to pod. Now see here, Kubernetes pods. See here, entire structure automatically it is generated. So what we need to understand. So just update these values. That's it. Update these values. Apart from this, no need to do anything. Apart from this, no need to do anything. I hope you got it right. See, if I give pod, automatically see here also we can understand what is a pod is a collection of containers. So that can run on your host. Now what is service object? So service. Now see here if you type service object, this is the Kubernetes service. If you type service, what is service? Service is a named abstraction of a software service, and so it is now see here consisting of local port and for example 30 and that proxy listening and all. And what is API version? API version is the string. API version is a string. API version defines the versioned schema of this representation of your object. So what is which version currently we are using? So I am using V1, right? Now see here, API version defines the versioned schema of this representation of an object. And also what is the kind? See, kind is the string value representing the rest resources that object represents. Servers may infer this from the endpoint. So whatever we are mentioning that is. So everything already they give an explanation also. Whatever you want, metadata. So standard object metadata. What is the spec? Spec defines the behavior of the service. And also now go down. What is the status? So everything we can find here also. Now see here, this is the API version v1, kind equal to service, metadata here I am using. See here, nginx hyphen svc, and so selector app name. This is the app name. This is the selector name equal to app equal to name. Just I am giving a nginx. I given some name. Anyway, I am going to update. This is the port number. What is the default port number? Here also same container. What is the default port number? Target port number. This is the 80. So This is the 80, and so what is the target port number also? I am giving 80. That's it. No need to do anything. My service object is ready. Now I am going to modify existing small thing. Now copy this one, copy this one, here on it. Now here I am not mentioning anything. Type, where is type? I didn't mention anything, right? So we need to use type also. This is the main target port and all. Now after that, we need to use one more. Type equal to type. See here, type equal to load balancer or whatever you want. So this is a parallel to selector only. This is the parallel to selector only. This is the parallel to selector only. Wherever we want, we can use type equal to. Here I am using something. We can use a cluster IP. We can use a cluster IP, or we can use a node port, or we can use a load balancer. Now got it? Or we can use external name. Whatever we want, we can mention here. So remaining story same only. API version v1, service kind equal service object, metadata. I given some name, spec, selector. So this is the type. What type of service you want to use? So whether you want to use external cluster IP, node port, load balancer, or external. So here we are not going to add more than one. We are giving only one, whether it is cluster IP or node port or load balancer, anything. So now I am using node port. That's it. N capital letter, node port. Any typo error? Nested engine is not allowed. Compact mapping. Type equal to node port. PO. What it is saying? Nested mapping here are not allowed to. Nested already one now, right? Type. Implicit is not single line. This type node port. Okay. So type equal to node port. Now copy this one. Now go to here. So where is your file? This is right. Just I'm copying, paste it. Now see here. API version v1 kind service metadata and spec selector and so this is the app or I'm giving a name equal to nginx name equal to nginx and type equal to node port force. That's it. Now escape colon. Sorry, this is not right. Directly save file. So just close it. Now see here before running kubectl get svc. Do you have any service object? This is the default one. I don't have anything. Let me run kubectl apply -f and what is the name? nginx service svc. Okay. Now service object is created. Now how to check it? kubectl get svc. Now see here we can see one. This is my service object name. What is the type? Earlier this is the cluster IP. That is the default one. If you are not mentioning anything, so this is the default one. Now see here type equal to node port, type equal to node port, and so this is the cluster IP. So this is the IP and this is the cluster IP and this is the port. This is the port. Now same thing kubectl. Now cls kubectl get parts. I'm going to delete this part. How to delete? This is the kubectl delete pod name nginx. Okay, deleted kubectl. Why I deleted? Just I'll show kubectl get all. I have only service object. Now notepad. I want to update something. So see here cat space nginx svc. There is some rule is not the cat. Okay, this is notepad, right? Okay. Now notepad notepad nginx pod.yml. Now, so if you observe here, actually we need to find, we need to remember one thing. Here, here I given some name, right? Name or app, name equal to I given nginx. Now this is the selector. So already I discussed, right? Suppose if we have multiple pods, how my service object find particular pod? Now got it? So this is the one pod. So this is one pod. So this is one pod. This is one pod. This is one pod. So I have multiple parts. How these parts connecting to each other? How this part? In each part has one unique IP address already you know. Now I created one service object. So this service object, I want to find particular part, right? So for every pod, I given some name. So pod equal to metadata. For this pod, I given one name. For this pod, I given one name. For this pod, I given one name. So I given. Now I created one service object. Now how this service object discoverable particular pod? So this is the we need to add this one. What you need to do see selector labels and selector. Now if you go here, so here see here metadata. I given name. I given name. See I given and container. This is now there is one more tag here. I am going to add labels also. What is this? Label. What we need to do? Label also we need to add it. Label. So label means, for example, I want to call someone. So for every person has one name, right? Suppose if you don't have any name, how can I call it? That is very difficult, right? So now we need to add one label name also. How to add that label? Label or labels? Now, if you go here, labels. Now, see here. So, if you go here, service objects, here I given labels and I given some name, label name. Same thing I am adding here. Now, see here, labels, colon, okay, name, colon, I given nginx. So, see here, now got it. Now, this is the pod name. This is the pod name. Now, labels I given label name nginx. Same name should be matched in the service object. So, whatever we given here, same name it should be updated in our service object also. Now, that's it. I given a labels name equal to nginx. Now, same thing. Now, if you go here, already see here, notepad for nginx for svc, right? Svc. Now, if you observe here, here I given one name equal to nginx. Both are matched or not? Clear guys? Anyone any doubt here? How it is this service object discoverable particular part based on this label and selector. Based on this label and selector. This is the basic pointer. This is the basic pointer. Okay. So whatever this is the key and this is the value. Here I given name equal name colon nginx I given. Same name we have to add in our under the pod section under the label section. Labels colon name equal to nginx. Now this service object no. Okay. So this is the pod name already nginx name is there. So this service object particularly it is calling that pod only. I hope you understand, right? That's it. Now see, close this one and let me run my pod. Okay, notepad, nginx hyphen pod. Okay, so now added or not? Now see here, that is not saved. So doubt that is a labels colon pls labels colon and name equal to ng nginx. Spelling correct only, right? Same, no, it should be matched, otherwise it won't find. So file, save, just close it. Now again open it whether it is properly updated or not. Yes, labels. Any doubt here? Same. See here, labels. Here they given happy colon nginx. Now I given name equal to nginx. Now that's it. Close this. Now how to run? Kubectl, apply -f and name. What is my name? NGINX hyphen pod, right? NG NGINX hyphen pod. Now pod is created. Now check it. Clear. kubectl, kubectl, get all. Now see here. This is a pod also running. Your service object also running. Now check it. What is the type? Now if you want to know more about your service, kubectl, describe, describe, describe. Okay. What is this? SVC and your service name. Now see here. Now if you observe here, what is the name? This is my service object name. Namespace, it is running default namespace. Now selector, I given right name equal to nginx. And what is the type? This is important. What is the type I mentioned? Node port. And what is the family? What is the IP address? Now if you see here, endpoint. Now see here, this is the endpoint. So every pod has one IP, right? So now see, this is the endpoint. This is the endpoint. This is the endpoint. Now this is the load balancer, ingress. See load balancer, ingress, local host, local host. So load balancer, ingress by default is it is running my local only, right? So that is the local host. Now see here type and what is the selector we used. Everything we can track here. Everything we can track here. This is the endpoint. Now see here kubectl get SVC. If you want to see only SVC. Now see here node port. Now go to here browser and how it is running my local, right? We need to use local host only. Local host. If you use local host, if you use local host, what is the port? Yeah, default it is using. I think no need to use this one. Let me check it. Three two three two three two 394. 32394. 32. Now see here, this is the external port number, right? So now here, this is the default. This is the default. Now, so this is the node port also. If you want to, we can set it. Now I'm accessing via browser, right? Now see here, 32394. This is the external port number. We need to use this one. Now I am using C here, 32394. Now see here, your Nginx server. Now I can able to access or not browser. So which type I am using service type? Type equal to node port. Type equal to node port. Got it, guys? Anyone any doubt here? So if I want to access my application outside, that is means I want to access my application via browser. So we need to use type equal to node port, load balancer, or anything that is based on your requirement. Now I given also node port only. Next class I will show you cluster IP, how to work and all. I hope you got some idea, right? So now this is my service object. This is my service. This is my pod. Just assume I have multiple pods. So every pod has I given one label, right? Here I given some label name. Here I given some label name. Correct? So here I given labels. LABLS labels. Here I given labels. LABELS labels. I given name equal to I given some name NGI and next same name here. This is the service object. This is the service. Now service is the discoverable part, right? Here we given one name. Under here selector. Under here selector. Selector. Same name. So here label. Here selector. Under here same. Whatever we given here, same name we have to give here also. That's it. If you understand this point, nothing. Name equal to NGINX. That's it. Now, this service object discoverable only particular part. So it won't find these parts and all. Already we configure, right? So, so based on name, this is the label name. Here, this is the selector name equal to nginx. That's it. Okay. So next class we'll see continuation how it will work.